all these people that were like, the mass enthusiasm about Game of Thrones is so big that I have to get on Twitter and say, I've never seen it. Like, okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to another living room edition of Baseball Night in New York. It's brought to you by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers, Doug Williams alongside Anthony Recker and Andy Martino. If you're watching this at 6 o'clock, we're back as usual. If you're watching this at 11 o'clock, our TV audience, our new time slot. It's great to see you again. We're happy to be back with you. We're in our pajamas. I'm in sweatpants. That is what's unique about this show as compared to the way we used to do it. Hopefully one day we'll be back in suits, which now looking back, I can't believe how well dressed I was and we were on a daily basis. Just seems crazy. But we are thrilled to be back on SNY's airwaves talking Mets and Yankees baseball. We want to begin tonight's show, I should say, with a little conversation about two very good, if not great, Mets teams. And I happen to know both of our panelists tonight feel strongly. At least I know Andy Martino does, because we had a little pre-show discussion about this. Which team was better, Andy? 06 Mets, 2015 Mets?
You look at 97 wins in 06 versus 90 in 15. You look at the fact that Omar Minaya built that 06 team with just incredible depth, especially in the lineup, great bullpen. And I guess the best way to sum it up is in 06 you had not only Reyes at the top, at his absolute peak of the young Jose Reyes, but the middle of the lineup, Wright, Beltran, Delgado, and you want to compare that to Mayberry and Campbell. I think that kind of says it all. And that's a little facetious, but the fact is, after the Mayberry and Campbell phase, the 15 Mets made a trade for Cespedes. They got hot. They were extremely exciting. They won the pennant based on Daniel Murphy being another guy that got really hot at the right time, and things broke great. But the 06 team was that championship caliber roster, whereas the 15 team was a really good team that got hot. That's not to take anything away from them. They're just two teams in different discussions, in my view.
Okay, former member of the 2015 Mets, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's funny to hear Andy to say some of those things, because I would have said the exact same thing about that 06 team. The only difference is that team, their pitching staff, their starting rotation, while they were star-driven with Tom Glavine and Pedro Martinez, and you could put some of those names up there and say, well, how could they not have been great? Look at that starting rotation's ERA that year. Even their ERA plus, their FIP, everything, all those numbers that take into consideration the analytics that we have nowadays that take into consideration ballpark and the offense produced that year and everything. That 15 team was superior, far superior when it comes to the starting rotation. Then you look at the bullpen. I think that 06 team had a really good bullpen. I think, and I took this question and I said, well, this 15 team wasn't really constructed until July. That was our 15 team. That's what made the run. That's what happened. So yeah, if I look at the regular season, that 06 team could hit. I mean, they were a very good offensive team, but their starting rotation wasn't very good. Their bullpen was good. That's a good regular season team. Now they made, they went pretty far in the playoffs. They did a great job, made it to game 7 of the 06, NLCS until they finally lost. But we're talking about the 15 team that went on to, they had timely hitting. They had great pitching. And that hitting in itself was just clutch. I mean, once they got Cespedes, Kelly Johnson, Juan Uribe, he didn't mention some of those guys, some of the depth that they had after they made some moves. But yeah, it took some time to get those. But no, you can snark all you want, but guess what? That team performed when they had to perform, and they got to where they needed to get to because they had a good team, a very good team. Now, I'm sitting here saying this knowing that I played here, and people are going to say, well, you were on that team, that's why you say that, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But the thing is, I tried to look at this completely arbitrarily, and I went in and I looked, okay, statistically, just straight up, offensively, this team was better. I think pitching the 15 was better. And then seeing the games and watching the games in 15 personally and just seeing the clutch hitting, that is what wins you games down the stretch and in the playoffs. And when I measure a team as to how good they are, it's how well they can perform and did perform in the playoffs. Both teams performed well in the playoffs. Obviously, that 15 team did enough to make it to the World Series.
So the snark, Anthony, was not regarding any of your analysis, which was thorough, made me think about my points. And
no, it didn't.
No, I mean it. It was good. It was an interesting way to look at that team. The snark was about referring to me as he, as if my points did not even deserve me to be mentioned by name.
I think your snark was also about Uribe and Johnson. That was like a
No.
That's how I took it.
Trades, and that was the day. I remember that day when those guys walked in the door. It was like, oh, okay, our front office takes us seriously, and that was a galvanizing moment that's forgotten in the Cespedes trade. It was just that when Anthony spat out the word he didn't even mention those guys. I felt
that guy
that deserved a little
bit of snark back. Come on. I mean,
But look, you make a good point about the clutch, the time we took the pitching. When you look at that 06 rotation led by a veteran, Tom Glavine, who had a decent year, and then getting into guys like Traxel and John Maine made some starts, it's obviously cannot compare to the 15 rotation. And frankly, Terry Collins was a significantly better in-game manager than Willie Randolph. I will say there was an intangible quality, too, about the 06 team quickly, where they had a level of excitement and they made the city feel galvanized, and Reyes was exciting and Shea was alive. And there was a little bit of that too, which I stick on the intangible side.
Yeah, to me, this is a conversation about a team that was built for a deep postseason run and a team that went on one, and both can be great. It's just interesting. Okay, time now for out of left field. Andy, we've seen on Twitter you've been talking about the Taiwan baseball and how you've been kind of engrossed in it. Tell us why. Tell us what that's doing for you mentally.
Oh, it's pretty simple. I just love baseball, and I miss it. And, every year you learn a little bit more about the game and appreciate it on a bit of a deeper level, and I'm missing that this year. So being able to watch live baseball is just nice. It's just as simple as that. It's cool that it's on in the morning. I wake up and roll in my phone, see what inning they're in, and then get going with my day. But it's very simple. I'm starving to watch baseball. I love baseball. I miss it. I'm so sad that I don't get to watch it every day. So they could play on the moon and I would watch it right now. So thank you, Taiwan.
Anthony, have you turned to Taiwan to scratch your baseball itch?
I haven't, no. And it's nothing against it. I would love to watch it. It's just I've got, 2 kids running around and I've been busy with other things. But I did appreciate seeing some of the highlights yesterday. And just seeing some of that. It's fun to see it. It's good to see it back. I'd like to see it back.
All right, time now for a gut instinct. All right, gentlemen, this is just a simple question you have not been prepped for. You got to get right into it. How's that sound? Anthony, we'll begin with you. Who was the most underappreciated player on the 2015 team?
Most underappreciated player. Let's go with. That's a tough one. You know what? I'm gonna take a guy who came over during that season, which was Addison Reed. Some of the innings he put in the bullpen and pitched big time down the stretch of that season were incredible, and he did it, knowing that we didn't have the offense to necessarily, make a comeback late if we needed to. We did have timely hitting, and we did do that sometimes. But just some of the innings he put together, the big innings he put together, were huge.
Andy, what's the loudest you've ever heard a stadium while covering a game?
When Matt Harvey, this is just top of mind, but when Matt Harvey walked out to the mound before the first inning of the All-Star game that he was starting at City, that place was rocking.
That's a pretty good one. Anthony, you told us Max Scherzer was your favorite pitcher to face. Who was your least favorite?
Oh gosh. Funny enough, Tom Kohler got me out, I think, every time I faced him. I don't know why. I could not get a hit off him.
He's pitched against the Mets roughly 3,000 times in his career. You can't prove me wrong. I
faced him every time.
Andy, if you were given 100 pitches against Jacob deGrom, how many times do you think you'd make contact, and that includes foul balls?
0.
0?
0. I know myself. I know my strengths and weaknesses. 0. That's just me being honest. One time when I was covering Jamie Moyer, I stepped in at an 82 cage just to see how I would do, and I did not make contact.
Okay. Well, that's a well thought out and researched answer then. I appreciate the self-awareness. Andy, Anthony, great stuff as always.